Hi, welcome to day 5 of SUMMERWEEN. I basically didn't vlog at all yesterday, so I'm making up for lost time now. I had such a terrible headache yesterday, I barely read anything, and I actually had somebody at work tell me, hey, can I ask you a question? And I said, yeah, sure, of course. And they said, are you okay? Your energy seems so down right now. And I said, I'm so sorry. I feel awful that you can notice, but I did feel really bad. But today, day 5, much better. We're back to vlogging. I actually think the culprit was the lilies that I bought. I think the scent was too strong for me and it just like affected my entire day. So I did throw my lilies in the garbage, which is a bummer because they were very pretty, but I think that was a small price to pay because I'm already feeling so much better today. And I do have a reading update. I finished Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil. I think this is going to be a 4-star, maybe a 4.5 star, but I think I still need to marinate on it and think a little bit. I really liked the way that all the characters' stories connected. I do feel like as things started to move faster and faster towards the end of the book, there was less and less explanation for what was going on. And whereas before I felt fully immersed in the world and like I fully understood what was happening, in that last 100 pages or so, I kind of felt like V.E. Schwab was just kind of dragging me through the book, and things were moving at such a breakneck pace that I didn't always fully understand what was going on or why. It was as though people just naturally understood the rules without learning them. And on one hand, I'm grateful that V.E. Schwab trusts the reader enough to be able to catch up with things. I do feel like that could have been balanced a little bit better. The ending was a little ambiguous, which I am a fan of, but yeah, I really enjoyed this. Would definitely recommend. I think it would be a great pick for Halloween, for the fall time. Creepy, bloody, atmospheric, full of toxic lesbian vampires. So much fun. And today I get to start my next book, which is Don't Let the Forest In by C.G. Drews. This, I believe, is set at a boarding school. We follow two best friends who end up fighting scary monsters in the woods. How did these scary monsters come to be? We don't really know because they seem to look exactly like some of the drawings that one of the boys makes. So this, I think, has some potential to be very creepy, very sinister, hopefully full of action and atmospheric writing. I think I'm mostly going to be reading this physically. I ran out of Spotify audiobook hours, which is a tragedy, but I still have to pick a book this month for my Everand subscription, and I can always check Libby to see if they have this available as well. Let's take a look at this bingo board again. My goal for today is to knock off a couple of these and make my way towards 3 in a row. I've already read a book with 6 words in the title. Thank you so much. Bury Our Bones. I think my best bets today are going to be either read a book in the dark, listen to a Halloween playlist, or read a book outside. I will make sure to pop this bingo board back up on the screen when I get those done so that I can be crossing them off as it happens. But yeah, happy day 5. Hello, I am meal prepping because my next few days are going to be quite busy. I'm working longer hours than usual, so I want to make sure that I have something to pack. So I am making tofu. Tofu power bowls is what the recipe is called. This is one of my favorite meals to make because it has, you know, tofu, rice, vegetables, makes me feel like I'm being a little bit healthy and it's still really delicious. So I will link the recipe down below if you are interested. Good morning. I have finished Don't Let the Forest In. Absolutely tore through this, read it so quickly, and really enjoyed it for the most part. I think that its biggest strength was its writing style. I think a lot of times with poetic writing, sometimes people assume that that means it's going to be very lyrical and that will make it move more slowly. When I think of a book that is beautifully written, I don't always picture a page turner. But in this book, the metaphor really contributed to the mood of the story and making you feel kind of uneasy and like you weren't sure what was really happening. There were many scenes where the line between what was real and what was imagined was very blurry, and that made for a very unsettling, creepy read. Thomas and Andrew are friends, but they're obsessed with each other in a way that does border on unhealthy. But throughout this book, they discover that there are evil monsters lurking in the woods based on drawings that Thomas has made and on stories that Andrew makes up. And the only way to be able to protect the people in the school and to be able to protect the people that they care about from these monsters, they've had to kind of experiment with the stories and the drawings. Like, will the monsters disappear if we destroy these drawings? Do we have to write a different story to make the monsters not attack? And there are these really stunning illustrations I think I showed before of the different monsters in this book, and the monsters manifest different issues that are happening in Thomas and Andrew's lives as well. There was a shocking reveal at the end of this book. Semi-shocking, I guess I should say. I did guess probably 3/4 of the way through what the reveal would be. Maybe other people would have guessed it even sooner than I did, but I still was pretty satisfied with where the story went. Definitely a bit of ambiguity, but I think that that also contributes to the creepy, unsettling nature of the entire mood of the book. It's a book that I'm glad I read during daylight hours so that I didn't get too scared, because there is quite a bit of body horror. There's one character who, much like the front cover of the book, has a plant growing out of them, which, you know, made my skin crawl a little bit. But a good SUMMERWEEN pick, one that will be on my fall recommendations list in a few months. I also now have started The Love of My Afterlife. This follows our character Delphi, who in the very first chapter has found out that she died. She choked on a burger and ended up in the afterlife waiting room. But while she's there, she meets this guy who she finds out was supposed to be her soulmate, and she makes a deal to come back down to earth, and if she can kiss that guy within 10 days, she can come back to life. So I've read just a couple chapters of this now. She is now on earth in search of this man. His name is Jonah. He has no memory of their interaction, and Delphi is enlisting the help of some of her neighbors and the afterlife waiting room receptionist who allowed her to come back to earth in the first place. This is very, very silly. It's such a drastic tonal shift from Don't Let the Forest In, because this is extremely lighthearted. Delphi is quirky to an extreme, and that's not usually my thing. I have found myself really rolling my eyes at a lot of the things that are happening, but it is still fun and entertaining and something that I think I'll be able to read really quickly. Next day, I read Love of My Afterlife all day at work yesterday, and now I just have a couple more chapters until I'm completely finished. This book, I just have to keep repeating, is so just goofy. It has a very slapstick, ridiculous kind of humor. I do like Delphi for the most part as a character, but she's not somebody that I could see myself being friends with in real life, for example. She's just not a character I particularly enjoy being in the perspective of. I think it's very sweet to see her connecting more with her neighbors and with her friends, and I'm definitely a fan of the romance that is happening. I also know that it will probably be kind of a forgettable book and not one that will stick with me much longer than a couple days even. And even some of the reveals that we're getting towards the end of the book now are just not exciting me as much as I want them to, and as much as I think the book wants them to. So kind of a bummer of a book to leave off on now on the last day of SUMMERWEEN, but I'm going to take a walk and listen to the last few chapters on audiobook, and then I'll be back to update you on my final thoughts and my final SUMMERWEEN wrap up. I finished Love of My Afterlife. This is just going to be a quick update because I really didn't love it. I think it was fine, but it just wasn't my cup of tea, and I'm hesitant to give it a really bad rating because I think that lots of other people could really like it. It's just not like a style of writing or a style of humor that clicks really well for me. I can recognize it being solid for what it is, a very, 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 very fluffy rom-com. And so I think if I were judging it based on just my own taste, I'd give it probably a 2.5 stars. In general, in terms of recommending, I'd give it 3 because I still would recommend it. I would just hedge that recommendation by letting people know that it is very, 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 you know, quirky, corny. But that is all we have time for. It's the last day of SUMMERWEEN. Unfortunately, for the sake of the vlog, the past few days I've been working a lot, and in hindsight I maybe shouldn't have picked up extra shifts during SUMMERWEEN, but that's something for me to remember for next year. But for now, I'm gonna pass it along to outro Katya to say goodbye. It is so sadly time to say goodbye. I got to almost every book on my SUMMERWEEN TBR. Love of My Afterlife, which I gave 2.5 stars. Don't Let the Forest In, which I gave 3.5 stars. Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil, which I gave 4 stars. And Annie Bot, which I gave 5 stars. Listing those all out, it's becoming clear to me that I did have consistently lower ratings as the books went on, but I am still really, really happy with every book that I read in this readathon. The only book that I didn't get to at all was Feast While You Can, and this is one that I might revisit throughout the rest of July. And despite not getting to that book, having read 4 books, which is 2 more than I read last year, feels very, very successful. And I was able to complete bingo on the bingo board. Let me know down below if you participated in SUMMERWEEN, what your favorite book you read this year for the readathon was, or just let me know your thoughts on any of these 4 books. I would be really, really curious to discuss them further. If you made it to the end of the video, comment a ghost emoji so that I know. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.